For many in the Baltic states, the German conquerors were welcomed as liberators from occupation by the USSR and its repressions. Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia, all of which had been forcefully absorbed into the Soviet Union in the middle of 1940. For the Jewish communities, the German invasion didn't bring liberty, but unspeakable horror, fear, violence and death. Starting in Lithuania, one day after the German invasion of the Soviet Union, murderous anti-Semitic riots flamed up, even as the first German troops arrived. Fueled and encouraged by the Germans, thousands of Jews would go on to be murdered in the early summer period. Of the 220,000 Jews living in Lithuania when the Germans invaded on the 22nd of June 1941, over 195,000 were murdered in the Holocaust.
When we came through the area of Jemegala, we noticed that the Lithuanians were flying their old national colors from their houses: green, yellow, red. In the villages and smaller towns, there were men in olive green uniforms with swastika armbands in the Lithuanian colors. I asked one of those men, who to my surprise even greeted me with a Heil Hitler, what kind of a wild association he was a member of. With a radiant smile, he explained that he was a Lithuanian partisan. A few of these weird forest heinies even carried rifles and were guarding some scruffy Jews working on the streets. The streets, by the way, deserve their own chapter. Unpaved, only covered with a layer of gravel, and in dry weather a layer of fine, white, flour-like dust. And if there's only a little rainfall, then these roads, which are already marked red on our maps, turn into a mud bath of a kind no one in Germany could ever imagine.
But whilst the people of the Baltic states rejoiced at the ousting of the Soviets from their lands, Barbarossa was far from being a normal invasion. Territories within the Soviet Union were crucial to Nazi plans to acquire Lebensraum, living space, for German and Aryan people. With continental Western Europe firmly under German control, Hitler's ultimate aim in the war against the Soviet Union was to make full economic use out of the newly won territories in the East. To achieve this goal, supposedly inferior races, Slavs and Jews who lived there, had to be removed and ethnic Germans settled in their place. For Friedrich Wilhelm Sander, who had applied to join the SS in 1936 and who was a firm believer in National Socialist ideas, the war against Russia was a noble crusade against communism, one that would not just benefit him, but also Europe and the rest of the world.
Every soldier on our side knows what the great objective of all of this is. And not only that, they have all grasped the deeper sense of it. There, just look at it. All that rich soil, and there are acres and acres of it. But it's all so badly cultivated. If these people here are incapable of cultivating the land, then they have no claim on it. Bring German settlers here. They know about cultivation and animal breeding. There are a lot of things to see here for the Lancer, even though life is not the same as it was in France. It is, however, a great political education for them, for they can learn about the wider plans of the Führer. They can witness the difference between German culture and state of affairs in Lithuania. They can see the women here going to church in their dirty and grey gowns. Most walk barefoot. Some have wooden shoes, which they often carry in their hands even when they go to church. Hats seem to be unknown. At best, the womenfolk are wearing a white headscarf, but even this is usually dirty and grey. Scruffy cats, the lot of them. And many a Lancer can't help comparing them to the French women whose acquaintance we made last year.